very happy with the presence of the journalists today for this press conference. It's over to Mr. Kundu, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Manishji. And a very, very good morning, actually a good afternoon now to all of you ladies and gentlemen. Films Division is one of the oldest organizations set up in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. It was set up in 1948. I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about the history of Films Division. Most of you know about it, but just to kind of revisit it. And then we'll talk about MIFF, and if time permits, we'll talk about the other initiatives that Films Division has taken up in the, let's say, last few years. In 1948, this organization was set up essentially to act as a bridge for communicating between the government and the people of the newly independent country. We did have a legacy in Information Films of India, which was set up in 1942, essentially to propagate some thoughts or agenda of the British government at that time. But then it was realized that this is a very powerful medium which immediately connects with the people. And therefore, after 1947, when the country got independent, Photo Division and Films Division were set up. Films Division at that time was tasked with the preparation of newsreels about all the initiatives of the government, all the happenings in the country, and to take them to the citizens through screenings in the cinema theaters and in the tented cinemas which came across at all melas and social gatherings in the rural landscape of the country at that time. And it, for a long time, it was probably the only means of audiovisual communication with the citizens of the nascently independent country. I would also like to share with you the very interesting piece of information that the first International Film Festival of India was actually organized in 1952 by Films Division. That took place in Delhi, and that is how this whole series of IFFI, the whole phenomenon actually started. And also the promotion of cinema as a medium of artistic expression actually took its roots in the country, which led to films like Do Bigha Zameen and Vimal Roy's other films, and Pather Panchali and Ritik Ghatak and Mrinal Sen's films coming in. Because 1952 was probably the first exposure of Indian filmmakers to world cinema and what was happening at the cutting edge of the art of cinema. So with that kind of a legacy, now of course things have changed, and Films Division has, over a period of time, over the last 60 years, it has also changed its approach, it has changed its mandate, it is now looking towards a number of other things apart from being a production house. We still make newsreels, but not in the shape of newsreels. We are creating now audiovisual history of the country on the go, which is to be archived for posterity. We are a production house. We have about 400 technical people on the rolls of Films Division. We produce films. We also promote films by outside independent filmmakers, particularly new filmmakers, to help them launch into a cinema career. And we also organize a very important event called Mumbai International Film Festival. This basically happened because in the late 80s and 90s, we realized that a lot of independent filmmakers came in. A lot of the products of Film and Television Institute of India, instead of going into feature filmmaking, actually went into the genre of short films and documentary filmmaking. And we started realizing that it is about time we had an independent festival for documentaries, short films and animation. I would also like to inform you that in the 1960s and 70s, path-breaking work was done in these genres, in the art of cinema again. So experimental films, experimental documentary films, and experimental animation films were initiated in Films Division. Work of filmmakers like Pramod Pati, Ram Mohan, Manikal. In fact, all major filmmakers in the country today have at some point of time made films with Films Division. And many of them have launched their careers with Films Division by making a film for Films Division. So in 1990, the first separate documentary and short film and animation film festival was held in Mumbai. It was called Bombay International Film Festival. And it was designed as a biennial, so it was held every 2 years. And 12 editions of that festival have taken place so far. And I'm really happy to say that almost the entire lot of documentary filmmakers in the country who are now independently working have been influenced and inspired by MIFF at some point of time. In fact, MIFF has been responsible for a number of them having gone into documentary filmmaking rather than into feature filmmaking or television serial making. So, in that sense, MIFF has an enormous amount of goodwill in the filmmakers, documentary filmmakers of the country here. We have over the years built up bridges with a lot of international documentary film festivals, and Mumbai International Film Festival is definitely the largest documentary and short film festival in the country. It's one of the largest in Asia, and it's also one of the top 10 international documentary film festivals. The next edition, 13th edition of MIFF is going to take place from 3rd February to 9th February 2014. We of course started preparing for this a few months earlier, and now of course we are building up to the event, and the major preparations are already in the sense that the maps are in place and we are now going through the processes of completing the preparations. We have received a fair amount of entries this time. We have introduced some changes also, which I'll be talking to you in greater detail.